There's a reason the A-10 Thunderbolt II earned its nickname. The flying gun with a plane attached to it. And it all comes down to the weapon mounted in its nose. The GAU-8 Avenger is one of the most fearsome cannons ever built for an aircraft. A 30mm rotary weapon, so massive that it makes up roughly 16% of the entire A-10's unladen weight. But before this beast can unleash its devastating firepower on the battlefield, it has to go through an intense, highly coordinated loading process performed by skilled ground crews. Today, we're taking you inside that exact process. How hundreds of rounds of ammunition get fed into one of the most powerful aircraft weapons ever engineered. To understand why loading this cannon is such a complex operation, you first need to understand what makes the GAU-8 Avenger so unique. It's a hydraulically driven, 7-barrel Gatling-style cannon capable of firing rounds at an almost unimaginable rate, historically documented at over 4,200 rounds per minute in testing, with typical operational rates around 3,900 rounds per minute. The drum magazine that feeds this cannon holds up to 1,500 rounds of ammunition, and critically, the system doesn't eject spent casings overboard during flight. Instead, spent shells cycle right back into the drum alongside live rounds, meaning ground crews must later separate and unload them entirely by hand. This dual-purpose design, storing both fresh and spent rounds together, is exactly why the loading and unloading process demands such precision. The physical loading process itself requires a coordinated, multi-person ground crew working together with specialized equipment. Crews use a dedicated ammunition cart, officially called the GFU-8/E link tube carrier loading assembly, which connects directly to an access point at the underbelly of the aircraft. Once properly connected, the cart mechanically pushes hundreds of rounds up into the aircraft's drum magazine in sequence. This isn't a simple manual stacking process. The ammunition belt has to feed in perfectly aligned, which is why more than one vehicle and multiple crew members are typically involved to ensure the rounds load correctly without any dangerous misalignment inside the system. Before any of this ammunition even reaches the aircraft, it goes through a rigorous inspection process that's just as critical as the loading itself. Ground crew members carefully sift through the rounds, checking for any gaps, defects, or inconsistencies that could cause a jam or malfunction once the gun begins firing. Given that this cannon fires depleted uranium armor-piercing rounds designed specifically to destroy tanks and heavily armored vehicles, even a single faulty round entering the feed system could compromise the entire firing sequence during a live combat mission. This is precisely why the inspection process demands such close attention from multiple trained personnel before a single round ever reaches the drum. Beyond routine ammunition loading, the GAU-8 system also requires extensive periodic maintenance to remain combat-ready. Weapons airmen must remove panels running from the aircraft's nose all the way to its underbelly just to fully expose the gun and its components for scheduled inspections. Because the gun plays such a critical role in the A-10's overall weight distribution and balance, a jack must actually be installed beneath the aircraft's tail whenever the cannon is removed, preventing the entire jet from tipping backward without that weight in place. Recoil adapters, tension equalizers, and safety wires all require careful inspection too, since the extreme vibration generated by firing 7 barrels simultaneously can loosen components if maintenance schedules aren't followed precisely. What makes this entire process so fascinating is the sheer scale of engineering and manpower required just to keep one weapon system operational. From the specialized loading carts to the meticulous round-by-round inspections, every step reflects just how seriously the Air Force treats this cannon's reliability, and for good reason. In combat, close air support pilots depend entirely on this system functioning flawlessly, since there's no margin for error when troops on the ground are counting on accurate, sustained fire support. The next time you see a 10-gun camera footage or hear that iconic BRRT sound, Remember the extensive ground crew effort happening behind the scenes long before the aircraft ever leaves the runway, a process just as impressive as the cannon itself. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the GAU-8 Avenger, hit subscribe for more military tech breakdowns like this. Drop a like, let us know what aircraft or weapon system you want covered next, and we'll see you in the next one.